Yo, what's up, everybody? Brent here. It's Friday, October 24th. Hope everybody's having an amazing day. Not much going on since the last stream on Tuesday. It's been a slow week. Obviously, a few things that have gone down. CZ has been pardoned. I have a lot to say about that. I'm sure a lot of you guys do as well. Talk about some potential scenarios, what that means for crypto and possible incentives for politicians and others after Binance potentially could be going public after this. Uh, a lot of other stuff today. I want to make the stream heavily based around questions and answers. If you have any questions, comments, uh, chart requests when it's time, make sure to leave it in the chat. Like I said, it's been a slow week. We're just kind of finishing up this chop on Bitcoin, ETH, and Sol before I think will be a more of exciting period to end the year. But until then, I want to hear what you guys are up to. Make it heavily, comments, questions, start requests. If you actually today, we're gonna do something a little bit different. We're gonna bring up a few people potentially ask questions live. So if you do want to potentially ask a question live, let me know in the chat, and I will DM you a link to come up. But if you guys are new here, first of all, let me know who's new in the chat. I know a lot of people are coming in from Telegram, from the Boss Man Calls channel, from maybe X. If this is the first time here, welcome. Like I said, say new in the chat. Our first time in the chat. I've been doing these streams for about a year. It's been a super fun, super fun time. Even through the shitty times, we built a nice little community here. We've caught Pangu, USDUC, a lot of great coins pump while the market's slow, and super excited to see what we can do together. When everything is strong again, which I think we are heading into a very strong period in 2026, which we'll be talking about. But before we get started, like I said, let me know if you're new in the chat. Let me know where you are tuning in from. I always like to see where everybody's at in the world. Have a heavy, audience from the United States, a lot for people from UK, India. We got some Nigerians always. We got some people from all over. So I always like to hear where you guys are at. We will get back into Bitcoin as well, but into the charts and everything as well. Talk about everything that's going on this week. But we are going to do something we did last week, which a lot of you seem to like, which is two giveaways actually on the stream. One, which we do every week. Towards the end of the stream, I will pick somebody in the chat. Today it will be from the chat. Who is? Sorry, give me 1 second. Somebody from the chat who is, active. Today we'll do somebody from the chat who's active. Sometimes we do it from the comments of the actual post randomly. But we're going to do an additional giveaway as well from YouTube. So if you guys haven't already, go ahead and shoot over to my YouTube at Bren Trades with 1S. Actually, for those of you to my YouTube at Bren Trades. Sorry, I'm trying to pause this. Probably know that the YouTube UI, or like the user experience of streaming, is actually a little bit better than X right now. We are streaming on YouTube, and actually, let's see if we're on Instagram. Oh, not quite working on Instagram. But we're on YouTube. So definitely go over there. I am going to do a giveaway here in about 30 minutes from people who are in the chat. So make sure you're subbed, and in the chat, I'll go ahead and do a $100 USDC giveaway to someone randomly in the chat. So definitely go over to that. Let me go ahead and read the chat here on X. Also, we have a here. Sorry, I know it's a hall of mirrors right here. In the chat here, we're using a EV Mux, which brings all the chats from YouTube, X, TikTok, everywhere that we ever stream from in one place, which is cool. OX Vendy, what's up? Venny, what's up? Zilla. Nice to see a lot of new people here, but as well as a lot of regulars. Today, we usually stream twice a week, Tuesdays and Fridays for the most part. Today, wanted to mix up the stream time a bit. We're going to have a consistent 4-day schedule here, probably the beginning of next week. So look out for that. Just follow it on YouTube. Appreciate that. Can you explain what you and Bren are? You, Bren, and Bossman are not the same person. Yeah, we're not. I don't know much. What if there's much to explain there? But yeah, no, we are two different people. Um, yeah, it's common misconception on Telegram. It's kind of tough because the Boss Man started the Telegram channel in 2023, sometime in 2023. He had 300 subs. I joined up with him at the time. Yeah, around this time in 2023, so about 2 years ago. And in Telegram, you can't really see. It's only posted under one account, right? So the Telegram's called Boss Man Calls, and I always put my name at the bottom. But sometimes, if you're new to the channel, especially, it's hard to tell. So, yeah, if you're in the channel, two different people. My post will always have my name at the bottom. Yeah, feel free to ask away the questions, and I'm gonna go ahead and get into Bitcoin. We'll do a little bit of an update there. To me, again, we're been very adamant on the streams here that I think Bitcoin is finishing up a correction that's very similar to August and what we saw in 2024, where it kind of consolidates for a few months, puts in one more leg, consolidates a bit more, and runs it back. We saw it again here in 2024, consolidated for about 3 months, gave us one more low, chopped for a bit, and then ran it back to 100K. Saw it here in April again, consolidated for 2 months, came down one more time, chopped, and then ran it up to 126K. Here in October 17th, I said, I think we're going to see something similar because of this consolidation that we saw on Bitcoin from September of this year. I'm sorry. Yeah, around September of this year through October, which is about 2 months. And we did come down a bit more. And now I think Bitcoin is in a place where after it's come up, came down to that low hundreds we were expecting, it's popped up and is now forming what I believe is an very, very likely, again, this could just continue down right here. But just based on other structures we've seen before, this consolidation just alone for 5 days, I think what we're looking at here on Bitcoin is very likely a higher time frame inverse head and shoulders, which is essentially what we see a lot of consolidation or these bottoms manifest in. Either double bottoms, which most people know what those are, right? It's just when price does something like this, where um, it'll make a low like it did here in 17th, come back down one more time, retest that low, and then go up. That's one common thing we'll see bottoms manifest in, right? But the other is an inverse head and shoulders, where it'll form a shoulder, come down, form a low, come up, and then consolidate without taking out that other low, where a double bottom retests that low. Inverse head and shoulders just consolidates before, without taking out that low. I think that's very likely what we're seeing here on Bitcoin, which I think is kind of the final piece to the puzzle or kind of icing on the cake for what I think is a very obvious higher time frame correction. Just like I pointed out a few minutes ago, that looks a very similar to to 2024 and what we saw here in April when everybody was panicking about the tariffs. And of course, we've seen similar behavior, right? You remember in April, everybody thought it was over. Saw a lot of big accounts, not just big accounts, kind of everybody, right? The crowd kind of assumed that it's over. There's no way we're going to go back up. At the best, we're going to chop for 6 months and, then maybe we're going to go up. And then that's when, things quickly kind of recover. I think we're in a very similar place we are now. And I believe in 2026, what we're going to see, everything coming together with the regulatory clarity, which we talk a lot about on the show. You have the SEC, which anybody who's been around for a couple of years know the SEC used to attack crypto. Literally, they sent Wells notices, pretty much are like suing or like bringing lawsuits against Coinbase, Robinhood, every big crypto company. And now the SEC is saying that they're trying to do the opposite, create like a framework that allows crypto to thrive for the first time, so that the U.S. can become the crypto capital of the world, just like it is with the internet and all these other important industries, right? So I think what that's happening, the CZ stuff, which we're going to talk about in a second, I believe CZ being pardoned by Trump, obviously he did some stuff with him for the election, but I think that's heavily influenced by the fact that some kind of deal they probably made where I believe Binance is probably going to go public. And we have Beanie, for example, talking about, let me see if I can find the tweet. If not, I'll just paraphrase. But Beanie, let's see how many times he's tweeted. It's not even the right fucking. Anyway, Beanie was saying yesterday that if CZ isn't already, yeah, I'll be able to find it right here. CZ getting pardoned opens the door for him to come back as Binance CEO and take the company public for an ungodly valuation. If he isn't yet worth as much as Elon, he might be close in a few years. Right? Who knows? Is Elon's, has all these different companies. His shit could accelerate like crazy. But I bet there's something. The big reason he had him pardoned too is I bet Binance is probably going to go public, like he said, at a crazy valuation. I'm sure the Trumps will get a piece of that. So a lot of the incentives from all the politicians in the world, all the regulators, the biggest exchanges are for crypto to go up. Another thing as well, Good Alexander, if you guys saw yesterday, Thread Guy, which loving the Thread Guy streams, so Thread Guy's cool, of course, but like his guests that he's having on are you can learn so much from him. He had Peter Schiff the other day, and then obviously now he had Good Alexander. And he was talking about, let me see if I can find it really quick. He was talking about how the U.S. is essentially not only the U.S. is trying to get people into stablecoins so they could prop up the dollar essentially for longer, right? They want to get everybody into U.S.-based stablecoins, and in order for that to happen, they're actually incentivized to not only push stablecoins, but for them to promote crypto, because the more people who get absolutely rinsed in the casino and who have a terrible perception of crypto itself, the less people are going to keep money in stable coins. So they're actually incentivized themselves to not necessarily like go and bull post on Twitter about direct coins, but to push money into promote crypto itself, the Bitcoin ETH Sol, so that they can push people into stable coins and have them keep their money into crypto. Because if everybody's absolutely getting rinsed and going down 80% and losing money, nobody's going to hold money in stable coins, right? So my whole point I'm trying to get here is, apart from the charts pointing to upside, I think this time we're very likely going to get probably the strongest run that we've seen in years, and very potentially since the bull market started in 2022. Again, because last time we had a run, pretty much all this regulatory clarity stuff, all this stuff I just talked about with CZ. Let me share my screen with CZ and Binance and Trump and the stable coins. Oops, I stopped sharing my screen. All this stuff that we're talking about with, excuse me, CZ, Trump, stablecoins, all these positive things I just talked about, all happened since Bitcoin was essentially, since Trump got elected in November, where Bitcoin is essentially at the same price we're at now. So Bitcoin, we haven't had all that stuff happened since this corrective period over the last 6 or 7 months, or since the last 9 months. Right. So we've gotten all this positive legislation while the market's down. I think all this positive stuff, all this, BlackRock, all these different companies getting involved in crypto, all of that, along with price, is going to probably lead to a normie retail mania, all these positive things that I believe very likely create the strongest run we've seen so far, and since, probably since this bull run started. Does it get as strong as 2021? I don't fucking know. I think it's possible. I think, again, with all this regulation, with the biggest thing too, Murad's pointed this out a year ago. We're seeing Good Alexander point this out. You're seeing every smart person, Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V, a lot of smart people from all these different industries pointing out that the world is people are going to be looking for not only like community and, different ways to like belong and tokenize communities and all that stuff, but a way out, right? People are going to be more likely to gamble and more likely to speculate because they don't see a way out otherwise, right? So I think that's going to create all of these things, all these factors in one, I think are going to create a very strong push into crypto over the next, probably starting, into the end of the year, maybe even right now. So I know I just went on a little bit of a rant, but I just want to show you that it's not just charts. I'm not just a fucking chart boltard. There's a lot of stuff that's going along here that I think is actually going to support not only new all-time highs for Bitcoin, but a very strong run into 2026. I think 2026 is where the super cycle is confirmed. Okay. Everybody always talks about the super cycle, which means essentially a super cycle, to me at least, is a break from the traditional 4-year halving cycle, where Bitcoin traditionally tops on year 4 after the halving, comes down into a year long or 2-year bear market, and then goes back up and repeats the cycle. I think a super cycle, again, uh, for the most part, is where we break away from that and instead go into year 5, 6, 7, and where essentially the traditional 4-year Bitcoin cycle is kind of broken. And I think that's going to be confirmed here as we go up into 2026. And a lot of people are going to FOMO because they're like, oh, fuck, this 4-year cycle that everybody's talking about is over. We must be going up forever. And then if we get a strong 2026, then potentially we get a bigger bear market. But I don't think we're anywhere near there. I think prices are going to go up before that. I think everybody's going to be trading crypto again before that. I think you're going to hear about crypto everywhere on the news and everything before that. And again, it's just always it'll be opposite it is now. It always is. Right? Nobody wants to touch meme coins. Everybody thinks it's over. It'll be the opposite at the top. That's how it usually is. But yeah, I think Bitcoin looking good. I think especially if we can clear 116, 115, 116K, I think it's going to be off to the races and very likely go back to all-time highs pretty quickly. Right now, I've been trying to make a concerted effort to do this more often too on the streams. Is I have a lot of conviction in a lot of stuff I say, because a lot of the times, I've just seen these setups play out so many different times, and oftentimes it is pretty accurate. But what would be kind of the what would I'm not right all the time, right? Like I'll go over what would kind of invalidate the setup, right? Is if Bitcoin were to break below 106K with just like a really big impulsive red candle, right? I talk about that a lot, though. A lot of the reason why I'm so bullish and have a lot of certainty in this being a correction is because the 2021 top, right, and every top before that was very impulsive after it topped, right? Meaning in 2021, Bitcoin went from 67K all the way down to 30 in about a month and a half. Whereas every correction since 2022 has been slow and choppy, pretty much down with a lot of bounces. Pretty much what we're seeing here on Bitcoin is the same. And what would invalidate the setup is if Bitcoin were to do the opposite of that, which would be a big red impulsive candle to the downside, taking out 103K and just going straight down for like a week. But again, that very, very, very rarely happens after we're already seeing a choppy like correction. Usually what that would come with is some crazy black swan, like some COVID level shit. Um, so yeah, ETH, same kind of thing. I think ETH and Sol are really dead giveaways for what I think Bitcoin is going to go up to. I've been talking about on Twitter like I said, I put out that tweet here on about 7 days ago, about how I thought we're going to come back down one more time to the low hundreds or 90s and then new all-time highs and beyond. As you can see here, Bitcoin, we did come down to those low hundreds. And why I'm so adamant now that we bottomed out and very likely going up is because we've been consolidating on Bitcoin here for a week. The other two majors, which I'll show here in a second, Bitcoin for a week, the other two majors for longer, for 2 weeks, and have been holding that in kind of this kind of bullish inverse head and shoulders pattern. So everything I pointed out here in this tweet got those low 90s or low hundreds. I think now we very likely send it back to all-time highs. ETH and Sol are even more obvious setups, I think. Again, because ETH has been consolidating here for 14 days. Right? If you were on the stream last week, which again, if you're just pulling up right now, let me know if this is your first time in the chat. Next stream here, I'll have actually this time next week, I'll have a something for the new people in the stream and people who have been here for a while as well, of about 5 to 10 hours of content, some resources for you guys. Maybe if you're newer, you're just looking to get better, just learn new stuff. I'll have that for you guys next week. So if you guys could also like, comment, retweet, share, bookmark the stream, always appreciated. Right now, we're just talking about how ETH, Bitcoin, Sol are pointing to very likely bottomed out, at least on the mid and lower time frames, and very likely higher time frames as well. But the biggest thing that's making me so bullish on a bottom here for ETH, very likely being in is this. What is this? 2 weeks of consolidation. Again, the number one indicator on a chart of potential and imminent reversal is consolidation. Very rarely is a reversal going to come in a V-shaped type COVID, type thing where it goes down really quick and then recovers. Usually there's going to be some type of consolidation that separates the move down from the move up and vice versa. So that's what I really look at as kind of the icing on the cake for like a correction, is if there's consolidation for multiple days or weeks. And that's what we're getting for ETH. And I mean, it's pretty crazy again. Let me find this real quick. The ETH, where is my ETH? Let me see here. But yeah, right here. October 20th, 4 days ago. Yeah. Some more consolidation above 3,500 for ETH, and it begins its journey back to all-time highs. And it literally chopped back down there. I don't know, you guys can't really see the blue. Chopped back down there within like $10 or $20, and now going up. Even pulled back here. This is something I drew again like a week ago. Pretty crazy to see it be so on point. But I do think it is going to send back to all-time highs from here. And again, the trigger will be really this high. Damn, I need to share my screen. I think it gets sent back to all-time highs here. I was just pointing out again, you guys saw the tweet and how it literally came in like $20 or $30. And now I think it is going to send back above all-time highs, or back to all-time highs. Obviously, you always got to watch at all-time highs. Could, definitely do some fuckery and come back down again, 34. But again, this is the 1, 2, third low in a corrective channel here for ETH. I think very likely is bottomed out here on the higher time frames if we can send back above about 4,300. So yeah, I think ETH very likely is bottomed here. Sol, same thing. Such an obvious coil up here on the higher time frames. I don't think it gets any more obvious than this. This is why I was so strongly, even though I said in that tweet, 90 to 100K before we come back down. Sol with these bounces in the super obvious higher time frame correction. I just knew it was a matter of time. And again, didn't come back and down and take out that low the third time. But the biggest dead giveaway, guys, and this is the number one thing you can learn from any kind of chart. I don't care if you're talking S&P 500, you're trading metals and gold, you're trading crypto, Forex. The biggest indicator, the number one thing you want to look for, at least for a big reversal, is some type of consolidation to kind of confirm that the bottom's in. And again, consolidation could also lead to continuation. But if it lines up with a bunch of other things, other majors or fundamental stuff or seasonal stuff, whatever, usually it's a good sign that the bottom is in or the top. So I think Sol very likely pushes back up from here. I think I said let's look back here on the stream what Sol's going to be at next time we're on stream, and it did come up a little bit, retest that low, hasn't it taken out yet. I think when we're going to come back, we'll try this again. I think when we come back here on the Tuesday stream, and again, if you guys are new here, welcome. I want to see you guys back on the stream on Tuesday. Like I said, Friday I'll have some stuff for you guys. But we'll see where we're at on here on Tuesday. I'm sorry, yeah, Tuesday on the next stream. I think very likely Sol, whether it be Tuesday, whatever the day next week, I think we're going to be very likely, after this 2 weeks of consolidation here, very likely push up from here. Now, what would invalidate that? Same kind of thing. I can't name you a time where I've seen an obvious coil up like this where it literally led to just a death candle. The only time I've ever seen that kind of stuff is on meme coin rugs, where you'll see a coiled up chart and then all of a sudden the rugs or the dev will say fuck you guys and just literally rugs at 90%. But we're looking at Solana. I don't think that's going to happen here. So other than that, worst case scenario is what would really invalidate that is somehow impulsive candle through 170. And even then, I think very likely would just be a final kind of low into that 160, end of that coil upper channel there. But even that, I think, is very unlikely here, guys. I think the writing's on the wall. I think majors very likely have bottomed out here, even on the lower time frames. But even if not, there could always be some fuckery at this low. But I think we very likely push up into the end of the year, and I think 2026 is going to be a year to remember. Let me know. Let me know what you guys think about that. Are you still thinking cautious? You think we're going to top in December, like a lot of people think? Do you think we're going to push into 2026? Very interesting. A lot of people, like Arthur Hayes, seem to think that we are actually going to continue to push up and have a super cycle until Trump is out of office, which is obviously Trump's only been in office for a year now. There'd be 3 more years. And obviously it wouldn't be like the day of, the market would probably front run it. Could be a year early, who knows. But I think that's an interesting theory and one that I could see playing out. Because again, you got to look at the incentives here, guys. We're seeing Trump and his family obviously are getting rich. But I do think there's something at play here that Trump is trying to big about legacy. And I do think he's trying to like become a president that kind of set crypto up. But also there's a whole thing about the US and the bankers and stuff trying to push people into the stable coins, which obviously is crypto. So I think the incentives and the charts and everything that we look at here on these streams together, I think is pointing to the possibility of that us running at least into 26, possibly 27. And what if there's no more cycles and we just continue pushing up? Obviously, with big flushes and violent corrections in between, and obviously meme coins and stuff dying, select ones continuing to go. What if that's what happens? We'll have to see. But the YouTube, yeah, I'll do the giveaway from the YouTube here shortly. Let's see. I do see some comments in there. Perfect. But yeah, let me get back to the chat. It's been 18 minutes. I know I went on a fucking rant there. What is up, Crypto Cam? What is up, Jeremy? Nice to see you, brother. Wag me. What's good, Juicy? So many catalysts, which points to trad 4-year cycles over. Yep, I think so. I think it's gonna become evident in the next few months. But like I said, while I'm reading these comments, if you guys could like, comment, retweet, share, bookmark, all that good stuff, always appreciated. It's my first time, Bren, here on the chart, boss. Brennan, appreciate you, K. Thank you for being here, man. Like I said, next week I'll have something for you guys. But make sure to turn on post noties and be back. Come back on Tuesday. If you're, let me know. Also, is this a good time for you guys? Where you're at in the world? Does it work for you? We're gonna do a 4-year. I keep saying that 4-day schedule here coming up, and probably different times on some days to accommodate people in different time zones. Why did coin? I don't know what that means. First time in here, follow and Telegram though. I appreciate you for being here, Stape. Thank you. Off topic, but do you have any opinions on what price of gold is going to do? So, I actually put out a clip from the few streams ago, Basement Ron, which again we're gonna have some guests lined up here for November. So definitely look out for that. But I put out this stream clip with Basement Ron talking about, Basement Ron's been investing in gold for decades now, and he's talking about whether Bitcoin's going to flip gold, and talked about here. I won't play it for you guys, but he talked about how it doesn't really matter if they flip the gold. Both are gonna thrive together. And I do think what the environment we're in and going into, where he talks about in here, or on the stream at least, how Besant and Trump and a lot of the people are talking about how they want the economy to run hot, which usually means they're going to spend a lot of money or print a lot of money. Again, push people in the stable coins, all that stuff. Obviously, is a good world for gold and crypto to kind of thrive together. So I think more or less that's what's going to happen. I don't have any crazy price targets for gold. I'm no gold expert. I would just expect if they were to print money and debase the dollar and other fiat currencies, that gold will very likely continue to head higher, and that's probably it's definitely what we're probably seeing now here. Grinwood says, heard a lot about your streams, joining right now. Appreciate you guys. Let me know. I want to know what you guys have been trading, if anything. You kind of been, sitting on your hands. I know a lot of people. It's been a tough couple of weeks. It's a lot of very confusing time, and I think right now is hard mode. I always suggest just if you have some dry powder, if you have the blessing and the luxury of having dry powder on the sidelines. I always suggest DCAing into coins. At least for me, I always DCA into my really high conviction coins that have survived big crashes before, like this. Those are the coins that have a very high likelihood of, when Bitcoin, ETH, and Sol head out of these corrections, which we've went over is a very, very good chance of happening, um, into the end of the year. When that happens, the coins that survive are usually coins that have survived these crashes before. And that's why I'm so bullish, and kind of hold these movement memes to such high regard. The Gigas, SPX, MOGs, ticker Bitcoins, USDUCs, is because these coins have survived. All of those I've named have survived at least multiple 60s or 70% crashes or corrections, and came back. And obviously that's what that means is every time those coins come down, the tourists and the people who are just looking for a quick pump sell, and the people who are in it for a while start DCAing, and a lot of that supply goes into longer term hands, right? By default. And what happens on the way up when they go up again, that creates more of a floor, creates more of a diamond handed, more buy pressure and less sell pressure on the way up, because most of the supply is in the hands of people who have a long term vision. And of course, these coins have to have a movement behind them in order for people to do this kind of behavior. And that's why I think SPX, I continue to be so bullish on, and why we saw it dominate everything else is because every time it's corrected like this, you have these diamond handed holders who are just not selling on the way up. And that's why it's just going crazy. I think SPX is an amazing buy right now. I truly think SPX goes on this next run, especially if we get a really strong run here with new capital entering crypto. SPX goes to 5-10 billion plus easily, I think. And I think that's why nobody wants to buy these things, is because they assume maybe they're a 2x or a 3x. I think what actually is going to happen is, if we do get a normie run, the normies, like they always do, usually buy what they know, or the bigger coins that are already running. So, why did Coinbase outperform crypto today? Are you talking about the base, the I'm sorry, Coinbase stock? Oh, I would assume that is because the S&P 500 overall, guys, the stock market, uh, one of the biggest stock market index. I assume, I haven't really looked at U.S. The Nasdaq or anything else like that, but S&P 500 is at new all-time highs, gapped up today, new all-time highs. Coin obviously is an equity, is stock. The conditions for stocks are good right now. Crypto is just chopping sideways, so therefore Coinbase kind of following the conditions of the overall stock market right now. Um, I think, I'm not too much in the equities game. I don't really hold too much non crypto related assets when it comes to. Um, I have way more. I'll just say it that way. I have way more crypto than equity exposure. But uh, what? Yeah, cool, cool. But just to touch off on Coinbase really quickly, I think Coinbase is going to follow the good conditions of crypto. I'm sorry, with stocks, and then I think crypto, like I said, going to explode in 26. I'd expect Coinbase to become, one of the most dominant, probably the most dominant companies, on the S&P 500. A lot of people are saying a potential catalyst could be as well Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy being accepted on the S&P 500 coming up here in December. I love how Sol and ETH moving like twins. Yes, sir. Thanks a lot, Brand. Looking forward to next week. Thank you, Miss D. I hope you're doing well. You think there's manipulation in crypto? Great question. So you see this a lot, and this is something. By the way, how you doing, Dom? This is something that um, you hear people talk about a lot. Every time these moves down come down, and it's just manipulation. Like that's what you hear, right? And obviously, I'll just say obviously is people who have insider information. There's people at exchanges who use different things to move price down. I believe that happens. There's market makers on meme coins and stuff who can affect potentially the liquidity that moves price at least down in the short term and in the midterm. There's definitely people who have, like I said, insider information who know things are going to come. So in that sense, of course, there's people who are using information or um, what's it called? Information or resources to their advantage. But at the same time, I would really caution getting into the defeatist mindset of always blaming moves down in the market, especially if it blew, you lost money. I would caution, getting in that mindset of blaming manipulation because you're always going to find people, like I said, who are taking advantage, all that stuff. But um, you're always going to find that. There's always going to be insiders in every single market, meme coins, equities, whatever. Getting that mindset of always blaming manipulation and taking the blame off of yourself, um, I think is empowering and it is just something to keep in mind. Like, yes, there could be manipulation. The Barron Trump or yeah, everybody. I think it's more likely that by the way, maybe hot take, the $200 million insider or whatever. I think that's more likely to be somebody who knew about the stables that they dumped on Binance. Whether that was Binance themselves, I don't know who was involved in that. That's more likely who the insider, whatever it is. But my whole point is in saying that is the for example, the $200 million insider who where that happened, yes, of course you could say that's manipulation, but there should have been, you should have had all of us who got, lost any type of money or especially got wiped out big should have had, stuff in place, stop losses, not had so much money and leverage, all that stuff to not, you know, get wiped out because this stuff's going to happen. So to answer your question, yes, there's manipulation. I would say, yes, there's people who have insider information who have an unfair advantage, but that's always going to happen. I think us as people who aren't in the know and all these different things should also not have a defeatist mindset and always ready ourselves for the possibility that there's always going to be people like who have advantages, but we got to prepare ourselves to one, defend ourselves, and actually really, like we've done this year on these streams and some of these cases, is really capitalize. Really, we've done that. That's probably where I think this stream kind of separates ourselves from many of the other streams. There's so many great streams out there. Thread Guy has amazing guests on. I see a lot of Ash, Robin, other people who are very consistent with the streams. I think where our streams really separate ourselves, besides the engagement and the community things, is the where we've been able to see these times where everybody else is panicking and actually not only see through the bullshit of the fear, but also capitalize. Like the pump trade, USDUC. Not, these aren't necessarily just trades. I'm still holding a lot of these coins. Took some profits, but pump trade, the USDUC trade, SPX, Pengu. A lot of these coins where the overall market was shit, but people were really flooding these coins. We were able to come in, you know, ignore the fear and really capitalize. So my point in saying is there's always going to be manipulation and insiders, but we must prepare ourselves to like defend against this, to not get wiped out, and then actually capitalize. So these kind of moments where there's insiders and quote unquote manipulation oftentimes create amazing opportunities. Uranus looks good here. Yeah, we can look at Uranus. It's a lot of wow, 30%. Wow. Yeah, it does look good. Not gonna lie. I did pick up a little bit of Uranus um, last week. There's a lot of strong community members, like still strong community. I think outside the whole. To me, for a while, I wasn't. Wow, this is a really nice setup. I wish I would have bought more. Apart from the whole Jupiter narrative and Meow and stuff, I think there's a really core kind of cult like community that really believes in the in the whole thing, other than Meow and all that, and then a really tight, wound up kind of corrective coil up here. I'm not surprised to see this explode out of here. I think if Bitcoin explodes up, that Uranus probably continues to all time highs. Only 42 million is pretty not too high yet either. Okay. What about BNB? We'll go over that here in a second. Yeah, on Tuesday, so Soul most likely passes 200 properly. I think so too. Hey, Brent, I'm starting to slowly get my confidence again. I spot the Soul dip and was happy. Fuck yeah, brother. Good to hear that. Bullish, of course. What if people are expecting bull run in this November and sell their bags? I'm sure plenty will, right? There's plenty of people buying and selling all the time. There's people all the time who think we're going to go up, and then we're going to people who think we're going to top out in November. I would say I think the crowd or the kind of the majority sentiment right now, at least on crypto Twitter, is one of two things. Either we're going to top out in November like every other cycle, or people are just really confused. The Even though price is starting to creep up and it's almost November, I would say what we're saying here in the stream, what I'm saying here, what we're going to see a strong 2026 is really the minority position. And oftentimes, I think when the crowd, especially people who've only been in the markets for a year or so, are really expecting a November run, very often, very very seldom does it actually play out just like that, right? So, of course, DOMs, there's going to be people who sell in November and sell their bags, but if what I'm saying comes true, where there's going to be an influx of new, continue institutional capital, DATs, but also a push for people into stable coins and for the average person to speculate in crypto assets and all that different stuff. I would say those people who are selling in November are probably going to wish that they didn't, or you know, my whole point in saying is yes, there's going to be people who sell in November, but if there's a huge influx of capital from all these other different areas, I don't think it'll matter, right? Aloha, Brent Fish here. In your opinion, have you seen more market manipulation? Okay, that's kind of what he asked during the cycle than others in the past, being that there's more institutions buying, nations buying, treasury companies shilling, and pro crypto U.S. government seems like they're trying to keep the market low. That's actually a really good question. It's a little bit different than the other manipulation questions, so I like that one. And again, if you guys are just pulling up right now, we're just kind of hanging out. We were looking at Bitcoin, ETH, Sol. Been a quiet week. We talked a little bit about CZ. I want to go get into that a little bit more directly here in a second, but we were talking about Bitcoin and how I think we're very likely have bottomed out, and I think we're going to move back up into end of year, kind of igniting very likely the strongest alt slash definitely meme slash alt slash whatever kind of season or period for alts since we've seen since 2021, with everything kind of going on in the background with regulatory clarity, institutional capital ramp up, a push into stable coins. And then right now I'm just answering questions from the chat. So one of two things: if you're new in the chat, if you could again share with friends, share with other people who are kind of sticking with you in this bull run. Those are the people you want to stick with, and running partners. It's always great to find people you can learn with during these times. But either way, if you could like, comment, retweet, and if you have any comments, questions, chart requests, definitely leave them in the chat. I'll try to get to all of them by the end of the stream. Also, in about 10 or 15 minutes, we are doing a giveaway here on YouTube from the chat. If you haven't checked us out on YouTube, definitely go to youtube.com/BrenTrades and comment in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and pick a USDC giveaway winner at the end of the stream here. By the way, MD, I will DM you at the end of the stream here. What we're saying, but to answer your question, 808. So you're always gonna see, like I said, I'll say what I said to the other guy. You're always gonna see insiders. There's insiders in every single market in the sorry, let me switch the screen. Every insider, every market in the world, from stocks to crypto to equities, meme coins, obviously, penny stocks back in the day. Um, you know, any new asset, especially, there's always going to be insiders, um, whether being nefariously or not. There's always going to be people who have more information and who have more of a um, advantage and use that shit to your advantage that you might not have, right? So of course, there's always going to be insiders and quote unquote manipulation. You're never going to see a perfect world where it's just a complete free market. Um, and I think it's great to empower ourselves to one, protect ourselves from the possibility that could be price manipulation, that you could get wiped out. You got to have good risk management, but also be prepared to capitalize off of this obvious quote unquote manipulation that happens. And then your second part of your question, now that the institutions and everything are on board, do you think we're going to see more of that? Um, yes and yes and no, right? I think Max, who if you guys were on the streams back in April and a little bit after, who's a 30 or 40 year trad 5 vet, started trading in the 80s, very high level, talks about how the institutions coming in, they're definitely going to rock the boat. They're going to push the market up, and we're going to go into mass adoption, and it's going to be more so up only on the higher time frames, but they're definitely going to rock the boat and manipulate as far as the fear and the everything else of the average market participant with news headlines and different things to get people to get better prices at times and to slow down markets and stuff like they always do. So yes, to answer your question, I do think there's going to be trade-offs. The market's going to be more up only. We're going to see mass adoption. Bitcoin's going to go to hundreds of thousands, probably $1 million eventually. I think we're going to see meme coins, altcoins go absolutely nuts. And then the trade-off to that is uh, the institutions are definitely going to rock the boat. Overall, I think what's going to end up happening over the next 5 years is we're going to get more of what we've seen over the last 3 or 4 years, where it's kind of big moves up and then big violent corrections in between. I'd expect more of that with the institutions. So yes, I think the institutions, just like they do in TradFi, will use all the resources they have in the media at times to kind of rock the boat, create fear, different behaviors in people so that they can swoop up assets or do whatever they need to do. But also the trade off in that, the bullish trade off, is that prices are going to go up more linear. I can't fucking speak linearly on the higher time frames as well. So yeah, I think there's always going to be manipulation. You got to empower yourself to, one, protect yourself from getting completely wiped out, and two, keep your eyes open so that you can take advantage of the fear that other people have and capitalize. I believe 2026 is going to be a great year. Yeah, I agree. I'm just catching up on some questions from you guys right now. Don't worry. Hopefully, soon enough, I'll be bullish. Yeah, the key is to get bullish on great assets before the whole crowd is, because once the whole crowd is, everybody is going to be. Um, Prices are already going to be up way higher. So you want to take advantage before that. Yo, I just joined. What did I miss? What's up, Arsham? We're just talking, just answering questions from the chat right now. We talked about how Bitcoin, I think, is going to lead to a move higher here soon for the whole market. OX Vendy says, thanks, Bren. It was nice to hear your analysis. Keep it up, King. Appreciate you, OX Vendy. And also, I'm going to do another giveaway from the chat here at the end of the stream. So appreciate everybody who's active. I've been on your channel with Bossman for a long time now, but it's my first time in the live. Appreciate you, Crypto Splendid. Somebody asked on the top of the show about Bossman and I being a different person. Yeah, just so you guys know, especially if you're people who've been with us for a while know, I'm sure you noticed that all my posts have, I sign most of the time twice at the top and the bottom with Bren Trades. Bossman will have no name at the bottom. And yeah, we've been running the channel together for 2 years. And yeah, Bossman's, like I said, all my posts will have my name on it. Two different people. And yeah, appreciate you for being on from the channel. First time in the live though. That's awesome. Great to hear that, Crypto Splend. I hope to see you back here on here soon. It's great to see everybody from here on the channel that's still participating. And no, there hasn't been too many opportunities, but I always say this, that the times that I've seen the most growth are the times that have come after boring times where I kept paying attention. Viewing from Central California. That's what's up. I'm actually in Southern California, so that's cool. AI meta seems to be heating up. Are you looking? As far as AI meme coins, like the AI agent stuff, no, I have not. More so been focusing on movement memes. Some of the AI stuff in the alt section, like TAOs and all that stuff. The bigger AI stuff, some creator coins, streamer coins, some bigger alts, some you know leaking with a little bit of gaming coins, stuff like that. Binance Alpha seems to be front running major BSC project. What do you think could be behind it? Uh, I don't know. I think Binance, like we've seen recently, that they've come up with a lot of talk about how they like charge for listings and stuff. I'm sure that they I'm sure that there's a process that goes behind all that stuff that I'm not sure how exactly works. Prediction markets are more likely bringing crypto than meme coins. What do you think about that? I think both. The answer here is what it is oftentimes is that it's both. I think it's going to be prediction markets and meme coins. I think prediction markets because people are going to want to hyper speculate. They're already doing sports betting. I have a lot of friends that I know, normie friends especially, who aren't really trading crypto yet, but will send hundreds or thousands of dollars a week at sports betting that they know almost certainly that they're going to lose, at least on a higher time frames, but they continue to go back to that. So I think that will capture a lot of that different crowd, but also crypto capture some of that crowd, but also there's the stuff of people wanting to really, they see people on TikTok and on Twitter and stuff, and they see their favorite influencer buying cars and all that different stuff. And a lot of people, there's going to be a loneliness epidemic with AI and stuff like that. I think there's going to lead people to meme coins. So I think it'll be prediction markets and meme coins that drive a lot of new people and capital to crypto. I trade meme coins. Do you recommend Forex along with that, or should I focus on meme coins alone? It's really up to you, brother. I think Forex, I'll just tell you kind of how I dabble in Forex now. Forex, you got to understand, is just like, I mean, I'm sure there's people who are more like swing traders um and day traders. I'm kind of more in the middle. I like to, place more, not position tradings, more swing tradings for weeks or months. A lot of times I'm holding positions. A lot of the time when you're doing that, it's just strictly charts. So I'll like every couple times a year place like a bigger swing trade on um Forex. As you can see, Forex since 2022 really has kind of been ranging since at least GU and EU and the bigger coins. That's because DXY, the dollar, has kind of been slowing down. So to answer your question without going in too much of a rant, I do think Forex for me, I'll play some higher time frame swings. And I do expect the dollar to kind of head down pretty heavily as they print more money over the next 3 to 5 years. So there's probably going to be a lot of opportunity in Forex. But for me, what I kind of did in 10 years ago, really, when I started with Forex, I started trading less and less Forex and more focused on crypto. I felt like I had more of an edge with the stuff from charts, but also a lot of other things. And I really think the opportunities for sure in crypto. But if you're a chart guy and you really feel like you have an edge there, maybe dabble in some Forex too. But I think definitely crypto is where a lot of the attention and liquidity is going to continue to be. Binance Alpha seems to be for okay. We already asked that. A different person asked that too. That's pretty interesting. Hey, Bren, first timer here. What's up, Mr. G? I appreciate you for being here. Let me know. Did you come from the Telegram channel? Where are you finding us? I was telling them, um, definitely look out next week. I'm gonna have some resources and some content for everybody on some education, some different stuff that's helped me for free for the new people and for the homies in the chat in general. What do you think? TradFi hitting all time high in crypto? Not so much. Simply, we'll see times throughout the years if you go at guy, and I really implore a lot of you guys to go and study charts. That's really what gives me so much context and so much conviction is two things: hearing interviews from people who have traded through these times, and two, looking at charts from these times. So if you look back from the past years, there's different times where crypto will run by itself and stocks will run by itself, or at the same time. Um, and what I will say is that if one of them, I will say if equities is in a huge, uh, in a bad correction, like just straight red candles, and we're in a nasty conditions, you're gonna almost always see crypto do the same. But to the upside, when stocks are up, usually what we'll see, not always, is you'll see crypto follow after that. Sometimes you'll see crypto front run and it'll be vice versa. But usually, when one's strong, especially with the dollar going down, especially with the macro situation improving, you're going to see crypto very likely, like we've seen in the past, follow stocks back to the upside. So, really, what the way I treat it is that when equity conditions are terrible, it's obvious we're in like a huge, you know, downtrend for the lack of better word or lack of a better phrase. Um, I think crypto follows, but to the upside could go both ways. Sometimes one follows and leads the other. Been buying Giga, Mog, Pengu, SPX. Same here. I think that's going to be a good decision. No financial advice. Blah blah blah. I'm part of a project that saw 6 days of straight at all-time highs, topped at 900K, and then came down 100K. Someone boarded 5% of it at that price. Real conviction here. Shout out to you, man. I've seen I don't know what the project is, but I've seen a lot of people, a lot of coins go from a million down to zero, down to up to 100 million. I've seen it happen. So keep pushing if you really believe in it. Wow, Brian, you're so experienced in the space. I really need to be a better trader. That's what your advice for me. Well, yeah, like I said, definitely come back to the streams. I'm going to be doing this throughout good or bad times. I love doing this. I love sharing what I've learned over the last 10 years and seeing other people, hopefully seeing value from it and profiting. We've had a lot of people in the chat. Like if any of you profited, I want to know in the chat. Let me know if you profited from the calls or the trade ideas, whatever you want to call it, that we've had in the streams over the last few months, or in the Telegram channel you've seen from my posts. Let us know so we can show people in the chat. But keep pushing, Crypto Splend. Definitely in these streams and just overall, bro. Keep. I think crypto is going to only continue to grow. Been seeing, yeah, most both Bossman and I have pointed out that stocks and have outperformed the last couple months, but I think we're going to see both stocks and crypto do well. Same, just trying to catch up on all these questions. Same, bro. Been accumulating SPX on these dips. What about Aster, Brand? It's been on a downward consolidation for a while. Yeah, I think when these hype coins come out, you oftentimes are going to see big washouts, and I think it's good that Aster is having it during the time where the rest of the market's going down. Down 50%. Really, again, what you want to see is consolidation. It's been holding this low really for more or less 8 days. I think Aster's going to go up with the rest of the market. I think it has a very high chance of going, bottoming out, especially CZ coming back. Um, which CZ, really the biggest thing that this means is that CZ can go back. Obviously, he's been pulling the strings. Anybody who knows, like, he's obviously been pulling the strings behind the scenes, but he was supposed to be completely away from Binance after his parole and what happened as a part of the sanctions. But now all that's wiped and he can come back and lead Binance publicly. And in that case, I think Aster's going to go back up. Simple as that. Thinking to make content like you, how do you have this voice visualizer near your PFP? Shoot me a DM, brother. I'll see what I can. I'll send you. I'll get it from my producer, and we'll send you what we use, bro. That's cool. Are you gonna do a crypto stream, or what kind of content are you gonna make? I'm kind of new to the space. What's your best advice for me, Bren? I'll tell you what I tell everybody. Ross, just in the stream. Mr. G asks, I'm kind of new to the space. What's your best advice for me, Bren? First and foremost, I will say one, you wanna definitely work your ass off in the short term to learn as much as you can, network with as many cool people, get involved with different communities, just be a sponge, as much as free time as you can in the short term of learning, um, you know but also at the same time, um, you want to work your ass off in the micro and to learn as much as you can. But macro, the biggest thing, this is bigger than what I just said right now, is that you got to understand this is a long journey. And just like anything, you're becoming a fucking engineer, you're becoming a professional basketball player, you're becoming a fucking politician, a comedian is like probably the best example. It takes fucking years to become great at anything. To expect you can be able to do something for like the rest of your life, or to do something that might be dramatic, but like to do something like as a profession or full time, or like even make a lot of money at it, it's going to take time. There's people who make a lot of money in the first few years in crypto. I see it all the time. You know, that could definitely be you. But again, the people who don't have this mindset of they think it's quick and it's going to continue, and don't keep in mind with the second part, which is that it's a long journey and you got to give yourself time. You got to work yourself off ass off in the short term, but also in the long term, realize to give yourself years. That if you don't make any money, for me, I made money obviously in Forex. Like in the first couple months, I made a few $1,000s. Then, like most people, lost it, and it took me 3 or 4, 5 years to consistently make any like life changing money. That may be you, but again, if you give yourself years, and just like anything, you get the skills down, then you can print for the rest of your life as long as crypto's around. So what I would say is work your ass off every day to be in streams like this, continue to learn, look at charts. Really the biggest thing is learn from people who have experience and who've lived through these different things. Whether it be myself with the streams, or biggest thing for me is interviews. The Bankless podcast, Thread Guy has a lot of great people on. Up Only was a great one. Gonna also come back, which will be cool. People who have experts who are in these long form podcasts. Most people aren't watching these interviews. There's usually 5, 10,000 views on these videos. That's where all the gold nuggets are. So just one set of advice again: work your ass off to learn as much as you can in the short term, or also in the long term, give yourself time and realize it's a long journey. Like I said, I'm on year 10. The only reason I know any of this stuff without having a finance background and all this different stuff is because I've been learning from people who do know what they're talking about, and then also gave myself time. Like I said, 10 years. So it might not take you 10 years. You learn from people. I didn't have people for many years who like really honed down on people who really knew what they were talking about. So you can cut it down a lot quicker than that. USDUC is king. Brent shut it out. Yeah, USDUC is definitely the king of the new memes. Yeah, that was a great lesson to learn now. Would rather lose now than top of a bull market and crash like that. What happened with perps? For sure. While I'm getting to these questions, if you guys are enjoying the stream, finding value, you're just pulling up, would appreciate if you comment, like, retweet, share this with friends. It's a slow time right now, but I know. Sorry, I'm reading something. I have some Aster on leverage, and I panic every time. Leverage is tough during these times. Be careful. The insider was Garrett Jin. I'll have to look more into that. I've seen that name around. Crumb is a super small one that had a huge up the past few days. I wish I had another DCA. Yeah, I'll look at Crumb real quick. I just want to see. I'll see what you're talking about. Oops. Crumb. Wow, huge run up. What I do like about Crumb is that it consolidated for over a month here. Again, that right now, say you were a fucking Crumb maxi, only 816K. This is even an example that even on we're talking about SPX, which is $1 billion coin, or a 200K coin like Crumb Cat, is these principles I talk about still stand even on the lower cap coins. One, what I tell you about consolidation. The number one thing, say you're a Crumb Cat fucking maxi, right? You're like, oh, I'm waiting. Crumb Cat's gonna make its resurgence. I'm ready for it to bounce back. What would be the last thing you're looking for after this nasty correction? I won't look until later, but let me know. Somebody in the chat, tell me what I'd be looking for is like the last kind of icing on the cake. That's consolidation. Days or weeks of consolidation. What did this thing do? Consolidated for a month and then popped. I don't know what the kind of catalyst or why this went so impulsive, but again, it doesn't matter because a lot of times the consolidation was set up ahead of time. So I don't know anything about Crumb Cat. Obviously under $1 million, but I just wanted to point that out to you guys. Consolidation. That's the number one thing you want to look for if you're expecting or other things line up for a coin. And then number two, inverse head and shoulders. This is a fucked up one because of the shoulder lasted like 3 weeks. But it's just the principle of this. It held a shoulder consolidation, dipped one more time to trap people or to get, stop people out, came up and consolidated for a couple more weeks without taking out that final low. That's an inverse head and shoulder. And now it's up. So those are some things you can look for. Some little bit of some nuggets. Sup, Bren? Check out Retire. I'll check out Retire. Nah, just from X. Yeah, give me a second to check out Retire. I'll do that in a second. Bren, with the recent good news around BNB, you think BNB memes would finally? Yeah, I think BNB memes, especially with CZ, and maybe CZ saw this what's gonna come, and that's why he's been getting so involved lately. But I do think CZ, and I do think BNB memes are going to continue to be strong. Uranus community is strong, yes. With all okay, you already asked that. Yeah, kind of newish. Been hearing of Bossman Calls. What's that? Bossman Calls is the Telegram channel in which my business partner Bossman and I own and run together. He started it in early or mid-November. I came up and joined up with him in this time, pretty much this time in 2023, 2 years ago. Started around 280 members or something at when I joined up. And then over the last 2 years now, have the privilege and the blessing of having 40,000 subscribers in there from all over the world. A lot of the people from here, from there, some people from the Twitter. But that's what Bossman Calls Telegram channel is. Definitely check that out if you guys haven't already. Thank goodness there's no more flash dips. Yeah. Can we spot manipulations? See that? No, that's manipulations, quote unquote manipulations, or fucking black swans, liquidation cascades. Those can come quickly and from. Yeah, Max. You guys can, if you type Mike Williams, you can find Max on. I think he has another Twitter now. My question is, why did President Trump's decision use to have a massive control in the market? Well, I would say the tariff stuff. The tariff stuff does have big implications, and the market really digests Trump's erratic. I'll call it erratic up and down talks about tariffs as spooks the market. But as you can see here, the S&P 500 and the stock indexes have already recovered from these dips. I think the reason why crypto is down is because obviously it takes a little bit more time to shake out um, the huge leverage cascade that happened. But again, I think everything's pointing here to this being the bottom here on ETH. And as long as we can push up into 43, 4,400, we very likely push back to all-time highs here. Hope you're all right, Bren. Yeah, I'm good. Max was legit. I'd like to hear what he has to say. I wonder what happened with his Twitter. I don't know what happened to his Twitter. I did got into communication with him recently. But you can check out Mike Williams. Yeah, I think he has another Twitter. I'm not sure how active he is on there. When Max and Ron stream, that's so funny. I was talking about that with somebody. That's hilarious. That'd be fire. Would love a weekend stream on work. Okay. Yeah, no, I'm thinking about doing a Sunday stream. So let me know if you guys would like that. I think a Sunday stream where we all come together on Sunday and talk about the fucking market. I love Brent's tip of the day and the channel. I'll make sure to save them all. Thank you, Kenny. Troll, Neat, USDUC, Uranus are these movement memes. I can speak to the fact that USDUC for sure, 100%. USDUC is the epitome of a movement meme coin, especially one that's only been around 7 or 8 months. Where the movement, obviously these guys want the price to go up. Everybody wants the coin to go up, but there is a deeper movement behind it where they have a movement of, flipping the market cap of a lot of these big stable coins and just different things behind it other than price go up. Whereas, for example, the AI meme coins that everybody was so hyped on a year ago from now, as soon as price went down, it's a fucking ghost town. Nobody cares about them because there's no movement. People only cared about price go up. So USDUC for sure. Uranus, I will say that I have been definitely realizing lately that it is definitely a more movement meme that goes deeper than just the involvement or the potential involvement of anybody on Jupiter. And then Neat, I've definitely noticed a lot of cult-like characteristics. It's one I haven't dove into, admittingly, as much as I probably should. So I would say all three of those do have movement meme or cult like characteristics. Do you think BNB is still a good buy? If you have a long term vision that Binance is going to continue to dominate and potentially go public, probably a good long term investment. I no, not financial advice. I'll go ahead and say, if I was a person who had a long term view on Binance to become like to IPO and to become a huge public company and stuff, then I would that's probably sound logic that I would go up over the years. I'm gonna stay on here, guys, for about another 20 minutes, do about an hour and a half total, and call it. Again, today I just wanted to make the stream while things are still quiet, heavily question and answer based. So, like I said, if you're new to the stream, let me know. New, um, make sure to share the stream and then come back Tuesdays and Fridays every week. Right now it's a little bit slow, but the last few months we've caught a lot of great plays together. USDUC, Pengu, Pump, had some great guests on. Basement Ron, my homie Nigma, Kick, a lot of great people. Have some even bigger banger guests lined up. So super stoked to have you guys here. Welcome to the nice little community we have here. Sup, Bren? Check retire. Yeah, I'll check. Sorry, I keep forgetting to check retire. Retire. Not gonna lie, retire looks pretty fucking bullish on the higher time frames. This is another thing where consolidation is king. Because even on the higher time frames, as you can see here, January 25 came back down in May 25, didn't take out that low, sent higher. This right here would have been an amazing opportunity. Right here would have been an amazing like time to enter for the next obvious leg higher. And obviously now this is sent 10x here over the last year. This is the retire, right? Obviously. Wow, this is actually really impressive how this is grinded up while the entire rest of the market is just shit. I will say now that retire is coming down hard here at a all-time high. Obviously, really major high here. We'll say on the higher time frames, it does look a bit impulsive. There is some bounce. There is a big major bounce actually. So I think this actually, yeah, this is a really clean correction. Remember, I was showing you guys the correction on Jupiter, or I'm sorry, Uranus. Similar thing. Similar, really nice, clean correction where the move down is very choppy in nature. You guys notice how this is choppy? It points to it being corrective. Correctives or corrections often lead to continuation. So I think this is what you want to see essentially at an all-time high, where you're going to see almost always a pullback or some type of correction. You want to see it be very choppy. So I think the final thing you want to see for retire is potentially a few more days of consolidation or longer, maybe something like this where it consolidates for 3 or 4 days. And then I think it very likely sends back to all-time highs. Retire actually looks really nice. Somebody, by the way, if you guys want to clip these streams, say you're from the retire community, say you're from USDUC. I've had a few people do it from USDUC. Whatever community, I review your chart. You feel free to clip it, share it with your community, whatever, and I will retweet and follow and engage and all that good stuff. Definitely trying to get the clips up here from the streams. Extraordinary. What's up, brother? How you doing? Aster would definitely go up. Yes, I do think Aster is going to have another run. Will do, sir. I'm really enjoying the stream. Everything you said, everything you have a stream, I'll make sure to join in. Appreciate you. What part of the world are you from, Crypto Splend? Nigma, what's up? We're gonna have Nigma back on the stream here, I think on Tuesday, to get a little bit of a update from him. If you didn't see the last stream, him and I went over a lot of some charts and stuff, but also a lot of good market psychology stuff. Nigma also somebody with some time in the game, a lot of good stuff to say. So appreciate you, Nigma. So for the content, I'm planning to be a guy like Murad, a cult leader bag worker, but with visuals. Fuck yeah, dude. That's what's up. Definitely DM me. I'll send you what we have for that stuff, and maybe we can work together in some facet and some stuff that you learn and stuff as well. So that's pretty cool. I think I think crypto needs more people who are both a personality and a kind of give some type of signal, right? That's why I think Murad is so great, and I think he's so misunderstood, because people would see the long hair and they see that he's just bullish, and they just read his tweets, his tweets alone, not really watching these interviews where he goes into these deep, these deep talks on memetics and how the world, like I was talking about earlier, is gearing up towards mass speculation, and the people are going to be feeling loneliness and all this different shit. Um, the people who have a personality, who are polarizing, but also are have a lot of signal and are very smart people. Like I think the world needs more of that. Crypto needs more of that. So if you're able to make like entertainment value while also putting out good information, I think that's fire, bro. I'll do my best if you could let me know some of these cool profiles to follow. Yeah, so I'll definitely put together something more of a good list, but I think overall I really like my people like Kaleo, people like Alex Becker. That's again polarizing people, Alex Becker especially, but just people who have time in the game, years and time in the game, who have seen these different markets play out, who have traded through these different things, have made mistakes, who have made a lot of money in different areas and stuff too. You got Alex Becker, Elio Trades, Kaleo, um, anybody with time in the game. I think there's a lot of good people out there. I really like Thread Guy's interviews. Like I was saying, Thread Guy himself is great. I think he's a very entertaining and a cool individual, but especially gets so much value from the people he's had on. The Bankless, still to this day, they have a lot of great people on. People who have time in the game and who have results in the fact of not even just P&Ls, but just like who have time in the game and proof that they've been trading and through these cycles for many years. But I'll put together as part of that thing for next week. I'll put together of a more in depth list for you guys. Jupe Studio Coin. Should we use chart patterns with memes? If I use definitely look at charts the same way as long as it has at least a few weeks of price action. Brent, I heard that aside from trading, we can also make bank in crypto space. You have to specify more what you mean about that. Do you think we see another NFT bull run? Yes, I do. Um, Actually, I want to play a clip. So, really, I've just been thinking more and more like just watching stuff. And I think what's going to kick off the NFT bull run simply, and when people ask to give more of a streamlined, simple answers, I think just like crypto, what's going to make crypto over the last few years, over the last 10 years, crypto's been mostly speculation. But what's going to make crypto take over the world here is the underlying technology. Blockchain is going to absolutely swallow everything. NFTs, same thing. And just as like, obviously NFTs are just one part of blockchain, but it's going to be a huge part of blockchain, and the technology itself I think is going to be so transformational in verifying luxury goods and collectibles and cards and ticketing and real world assets and real estate and collectibles, like I said, art, communities, tokenized communities, and that the technology itself, what it allows companies to do with consumers and to provide programmable utility, especially in the collectibles world, like I said a few times, is going to be so transformational that it's going to make the early NFT projects that are still building, the VeeFriends, which I'm still just become more and more bullish on all the time. Hold on one second, guys. My bad, I had something playing, but yeah, to say what I was saying about the NFT stuff, I think the technology itself is going to take over so many different areas that the the projects that have stuck around, the VeeFriends, the obviously CryptoPunks are in its own lane, but the VeeFriends, the Azukis, the Bored Apes, the Pudgy Penguins, obviously, it's going to make the technology taking over is going to make those early NFT companies that are still building something big very important. And I think it's going to create a bull run and a mania. And I still think in 26, 27, we're very likely going to have an NFT bull run and crypto bull run in the same year, same 2 years, right? Who knows? Maybe crypto cools off for 6 months, NFTs run, vice versa. But I think over the next year or two, we're going to see both a crypto and an NFT bull run that rivals 2017 and 2021 and very potentially trumps both of those. No pun intended, right? So yeah, I do think NFT bull run. A lot of, I think it's a. I put out a tweet yesterday about it. That NFTs or 2 days, yeah, yesterday. NFTs are the total NFT market cap is down to $4.5 billion. If that were a single coin on the coin market cap list, it would be just as big as Polkadot. One single coin, number 20. I think it's still early days for again an early important technology. And what did I tell you guys about consolidation? As you can see, it's been consolidating here for a couple years. I think very likely bottoms out here in the coming months and pushes back over 15, $20 billion. That's how I see it playing out. And I've been accumulating slowly. Both VeeFriends, obviously my big concentrated bet. We got art stuff like Wonky Stonks. I have a few other. I saw like a Mutant Ape, some other stuff. And then I think meme coin NFTs. You see the FWOG NFTs, which my PFP is actually a FWOG NFT, a Pond NFT that I have ran through a filter a few times, but they're actually releasing a NFT project, a smaller 10K collection on OpenSea here in the next few months. That's really highly hyped up right now. Probably going to be a lot of demand for that. I think new mints like this could very potentially uh, be something that also ignites an NFT bull run. So I think the big theme on NFT bull run is going to be if you're looking to potentially get some exposure or you're just wondering like what the fuck is going to actually be the NFTs that could have a resurgence. I think the NFTs simply, other than the art stuff, art's going to be its own lane. CryptoPunks are going to be its own thing. But you're talking about Azuki, Bored Apes, Pudgy Penguins, VeeFriends. It's going to be simply the NFT project that's able to merge the world of Web3 and the physical worlds together in one. That's able, I think, like I said, NFTs are going to become very important and popular over the coming years. The NFT collections that are going to be able to bring in as many new people into that and merge the two worlds are going to win. And I think VeeFriends is set up to do the best in that category, to be honest. But yeah, to answer your question, I do think NFTs have a resurgence. We shouldn't determine the direction of a meme coin just based on a chart alone. Yes, I agree. That's why you need to have a fundamental. Whoa. That's why you need to have a fundamental reasons other than that. Like the biggest thing, and I have a video I'm making on this right now that I'll include in the free information I have for you guys. And that is you want to have corrective chart setup or some type of chart confirmation. And then also a big thing for me is for a movement meme, the community, the movement behind it, little stuff like that. If it's a revenue coin, I forgot to mention I'm very bullish on the few great revenue coins, the pumps, the asters, the hypes. If it has some kind of flywheel like that, if you have some type of fundamental or community type catalyst in combination with the corrective chart pattern, that's where it's like you really see the biggest gains. For example, pump was coming down like crazy for us. Um, Pump was coming down like crazy on this first run back in July, and I was tweeting that okay, Pump might come down a little bit, but it's going to have its time. The flywheel's too strong. Alon obviously has too much, not at stake, but just too many resources. He seems like a real visionary and has a vision for Pump. Very likely, what's going to happen is we're going to chop out and go back up in the next few months. And during that time, especially during these streams, I was talking about I think we're close to bottoming out. We're buying a bunch of that, and obviously it went up. And so even though the chart was just setting up, we had the fundamental reasons, and then when both those come together, it makes for great opportunities. Please check bot. I think bot's down, right? Oh no, it's up. Oh fuck yeah. Yeah, this is one we called in the channel, by the way. Like I said, check out Bossman Calls Telegram channel in the bio, in my bio if you haven't already. Got a nice little tag team of myself and my business partner, slash great friend Bossman. Meme coins, majors, giveaways. I'm gonna just actually do a stream in there on Sunday as well. Check that out. But bot is one that we called in there that is absolutely going nuts. So that's great to see. Yeah, I expect this probably to continue to clear 31 million. Tough to know what it's going to do after that and price discovery, but it's not a bad thing ever to see a coin start to go up as the rest of the market starts to look pretty good too. Day one in the stream, learning how to read charts. That's what's up, Mr. G. Appreciate you, bro. Countdown to Bren doxing. Evil laughter. That is crazy, Zilla. I made an error. I meant anytime you're streaming, I'll make sure. Oh, thank you, bro. No worries. What's good, teacher 96? What's up, Katie? How you doing? It's nice to see you in here. Everybody definitely check out teacher 96. She's great. Recently met her a couple months ago at an IRL event. She's doing some cool stuff with her NFTs lately. She got approved, which I think is cool, like Pudgy Penguins and the NFTs that allow holders to license their NFTs. I know VeeFriends, my biggest bet, my biggest kind of, my favorite NFT collection, they do it a little bit differently. But I think the Pudgy Penguins, I think Teacher 96, she licensed in both the Pudgy game and then obviously in the cartoon that they recently had. I think that's pretty cool. Definitely check her out. Nice to see you here. VeeFriends. Yes, what's up? USDC. Where's USDC? Oh, yeah, let's go ahead and do that on. Thank you for reminding me. I'll go ahead and do that in the YouTube chat right now. Okay. I'm literally going to scroll randomly right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. Let me share the screen. Ken UGWE, you are the winner. DM me after the stream. I will go ahead and send you 50 USDC. Congratulations. Thank you for participating on the YouTube chat. Like I said, if you guys haven't already, check me out on YouTube. Working on some longer form content on there right now, but we are live streaming to YouTube, so definitely check us out. And we'll do some further giveaways on there next week. But definitely DM me either on Telegram or X, and I will confirm that you are the real winner. And then also I'm going to do another giveaway here at the end of the stream. 100 USDC to the chat. I've heard friends talk about making cash with crypto without trading. I mean, definitely you can definitely build a brand, right? And build a following where you can eventually, get sponsorships and get access to whitelists and stuff like that. I think not even monetarily, just directly monetarily, I think it's great to build a network in crypto, because even if it directly doesn't give you money in your pocket or sponsorships or whatever, it makes your experience in crypto way better when you have people to, not even if you're just in a group chat, like people will add you to group chats, but even just people to have bounce ideas off of, or if you're just nice to people and cool to people, like offer compliments or some type of other value, most people are going to share information for free and be willing to help. So I would just say building a network and all that stuff in general is definitely fruitful. To be honest with you, like I was going to make a funny tweet like later, but like people have a negative connotation with like reply guys. That's kind of like a negative, like kind of a jokey thing. But the only reason I've met Boss Man. I connected with Boss Man back in the day when we were both, coming up a couple years ago, and connecting with, a lot of great people that I know today is because I would literally reply guy on people's tweets and write a funny comment and we follow each other back, and I shoot him a DM, and from there it just sparks a relationship. Like, that's the way, like, just building a network in general, just networking and stuff is, even, you'll find a lot more opportunities that way. I've heard of VFriends and Fwog, but I don't know, since I'm new over here. Heard people talk about, yeah, obviously Bored Ape Yacht Club and D Gods, Mutant Apes, all those stuff were VFriends was big back then too, but you hear the Bored Ape Yacht Club with all the celebrities and D Gods with Frank and stuff on Twitter. Those are definitely louder in the crypto Twitter world. To me, I think a lot of these, other than D Gods, I think they've kind of disbanded. So I don't really have any strong opinion on the future of D Gods, but the other ones, VFriends, Mutant Ape Yacht Club, VFriends, they're still building an IP. And I think what it comes down to is essentially for those IP brands is whichever IP makes the overall the general population or the masses give a fuck about the IP and actually want to watch and consume whatever content or collectibles that they're putting out, those are the ones that are going to win. Essentially, the next Pokemon or the next Marvel or the next Disney, those are the ones that you want to bet on. Essentially, like, you're betting, like, that's essentially the bet. Is on it becoming a strong future IP, right? So to me, that's why I'm so. Hold on one second. That's why I'm so bullish on the VFriends, because again, I with the Topps Chrome, different stuff they're doing, I think they have the best shot at building a real world IP with stories that people fall in love with, characters that people are talking about, and then the early NFT collectibles I think are just gonna go up in price just because of that. So, yeah, definitely Mutant Apes, Bored Apes, probably more famous, but definitely, yeah. I actually love the NFT stuff, but I'm too broke to get in. That's fair, bro. Thank you, Brad. Learned a lot from the questions in stream today. Is my first time. Thank you for being here. Yeah, I'm doing. I forgot to comment on here too. Sub brand just locked in. Did you cover the Tora? Yeah, Tora just completely nuked. I don't know what happened, bro. I have no clue. I have to look into it. I was just seeing it here before the stream. I hope you didn't lose too much money in it. I had a bit of Tora. Thanks, Brent. I'll do more research on building a network because we're all gonna. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we're closing in on here about an hour and a half, so I'll go ahead and close it out. Like I said, if you guys are new to the stream, let me know. Say new in the stream. I'll have next Friday for you guys some free value, some hours of free content specifically for the chat here on the streams. Some hours of content, resources, all that good stuff. If you guys are here, definitely just not even just on these streams, definitely turn on post notifications, comment, follow. Come back to the next streams we do have, but just staying involved in, staying locked in crypto in general. History has shown these are the times that, again, you want to continue to lock in. Definitely don't obsess and stare at charts 12 hours a day. Definitely stay rested. Definitely, prepare yourself for a more hectic time. But this is the time you definitely don't want to be checking out, and at least for me, panic selling and doing all that. I put out this tweet the other day, which I think kind of just summarizes what I just said here. And that is, I have lived through 3 long crypto cycles. Yeah, I know I'm a fucking unk. Meaning I've lived through 10 plus of these nasty corrected periods, and every single time the people who end up winning on the other end accumulate and hold on to their high conviction bags, aka aren't panic selling, continue to stay engaged and optimistic on streams like this, and focus on getting better as a trader, builder, creator, despite shitty conditions, and everything else is a waste of time. I truly believe that. I think that everybody who sticks to this, whether the correction ends today, tomorrow, 3, 4, 5 months from now, it's a 6 or 7 month correction like we saw in 2021, which I don't think is likely. People who do this kind of stuff and instead stay focused, stay invested, usually outperform everybody else. I think this time is going to be in a big, 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 big way as crypto actually sees its first mass adoption in the first time ever And I think what 2026 is about to confirm the super cycle, and the FOMO that I think is going to commence because of that is going to be some like nothing we've ever seen. And I truly believe the fundamentals, everything backs that up. And the fact that very few people believe it should make you, very few people are anticipating it, should make you very bullish. So with that, I love you guys. Hope everybody has a great rest of your day. Let me see. Oh, I don't know why it scrolled up so much. Hope everybody has a great rest of your day, evening, wherever you're at in the stream. Duster says new in the stream. What is up, Duster? Sick fucking stash, brother. I don't know if that's you, but I wish I could grow a stash like that. But with that being said, Duster, thanks for coming. Everybody else is new in the stream. Continue to keep showing up in the streams in crypto in general. From somebody who's been in the game for 10 years and took a couple years to several years really to really see true results. I'm telling you, not only like the financial freedom, all that whatever shit, but just the confidence and the like overall fulfillment that it brings sticking with something and then actually seeing it not only like see personal success, but then that stuff you're working on absolutely like kind of take over the world is really fulfilling. So everybody who's here now, you're still early as fuck. I really mean that. And I hope to see you guys on Tuesday on the next stream. If you have any suggestions, anybody you want to see on anything, shoot me a DM. Try to get to all of them. But with that, I hope you have a great rest of your day, guys. Peace. Love.